Welcome, everyone. My name is Nandan Keerthi. I'm the founder and CEO of Classe365. Before I introduce our lovely guest, Sakina Zafar, who's the executive president at Montfort University, I'm just going to set the stage just to mention why we are bringing this podcast together. Note that this podcast is live in our community at community.365.software and also YouTube Live as well. And I want to start off by saying, with absolute humility, we are so proud to work with, 6,000 plus education institutions globally. And in the broader user community, we have more than about 14,000 members. This includes educators, administrators, innovators, and people who really inspire us every day. Through this incredible community, we had the privilege of meeting some truly amazing individuals, and Sakina is one of them as well. And these are not just experts in their field, but I want to tell our audience these are people who genuinely care about making a meaningful impact in education. These are, probably some of the smartest, successful, and the most importantly, very passionate people that bring great value to the world of education and learning. We thought it would be a great to interview, people like Sakina and give them a stage where they can share their insight with us, and we can all learn from it as well. Right. So when my marketing team, they kind of reached out to the sales and executive team, like, what are some of the people that we can invite? And our customer success team didn't hesitate a second, and they had one clear nominee, and that was Sakina. Sakina, thank you so much for joining us. We are incredibly grateful to have you as part of this conversation. Thank you, not just being a very valued customer of Class365, but just the insight that you've shared to help us our product as well. I can't wait to dive into this conversation, Sakina.
Thank you, Nandan. Thank you very much, and thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here, and thank you to Class365 for all the great support that they've given us over the course of the last few years, setting up a new university in Cambodia, and just getting your head around all the kind of elements of everything that you need to do in terms of the operations of the data system. The team have been fantastic. So right back at you, and then thank you so much to you.
Thank you, Sakina. Yeah. Look, I want to give some insight about Sakina Zafar. If you don't mind, just giving us what was your journey like leading up to your current role? Was education always been a passion for you? If you can just give us your journey, that would be amazing for our audience to kind of just understand about you, Sakina.
Yeah, of course, and yeah, I mean, education was where I started. So I started as a lecturer in law. I studied law at university, but it wasn't the profession that I wanted to go into. So I fell into teaching. Really loved it. Really loved it as well. So I was a lecturer for about 8 years. And then after that, from teaching, I went into more kind of advisory and consulting work within the education field as well. So, and worked internationally. So I worked over in the UAE. So I worked on their big reform education project there. After that, came back to the UK and still worked in international education. So I worked for the Council of British International Schools as well. So this was an accreditation and quality organisation, and this was working with multiple schools around the world. So there's this common thread now: international and education still. And then after that, I worked for an organisation in the UK, which was a ballet company as well. So the Royal Academy, the Royal Academy of Dance as well. And not being from a dance background at all, but it was all about their programs and their courses. And again, a very international role as well. So a lot of work work with different centres around the world, and the exams, the ballet exams. It was the promotion of ballet. After that, again, I had another stint. And then after that, I worked for a private equity company as well, or a finance house, and they were working on projects, which was the setting up of schools and universities. So I worked. So again, now education, international, and now business development side. And then finally, I think in 2020, our partners, myself and my partners, we took the step of actually setting up our own university, because we had, I have a history of working in different companies, setting up schools, or, or improving or value adding to universities and colleges. And now it was a case of, okay, we're doing it for other people, let's do it for ourselves. So in 2021, we opened the Montfort University in Kazakhstan. So this is the first British university in Kazakhstan, working with our partners, Montfort University Leicester, which is a global university. And
it's about 26,000 students there. Right?
And a really big, very, very big global presence of about 9,000 students. And then in 2021, we opened there. And then in 2024, we opened Cambodia. So we've been operating in Cambodia for about 6 months now, and I keep forgetting that it's only about 6 months. And that is another branch of DMU as well. So again, with our partners, DMU Leicester. And so we have DMU Cambodia as well. So it's great, because I think the wonderful thing about this is that, and this is something that, again, is something that I feel very passionate about, and the team feel very passionate about, is giving students the opportunity to spend a year in, Kazakhstan, a year in Cambodia. There's a campus in Dubai as well, and then a year in the UK. So it's almost like in the UK we have something called the pick and mix, so you can kind of pick and choose, And I think now, the best education you can get is traveling. So being immersed in a different culture.
And that's the value as well. I think we will.
Because the world is shrinking so quickly as well, and having that kind of connection and that connectivity as well between Kazakhstan, Cambodia, Dubai, and Leicester is a real gift, and it's a real wonderful opportunity for our students. So, in Kazakhstan this year, 25 students went from Kazakhstan to the UK for their final year. This year, we anticipate double the number going to the UK. And already, in Cambodia, our students are saying that, they'd like to spend a year in Kazakhstan, or they'd like to spend some time in Dubai. So it's great that they're even considering that as well, which is wonderful. So yes, this is something that we're actively encouraging our students to do. But even if, for example, they don't want to go abroad, they can stay in Cambodia and get an international education here as well. There's opportunities and options for students.
I think that's exactly why I think this conversation is really amazing, because you have that experience in working in multiple continents, and I have like a lot of questions around that as well. But let's get into the main topic, right? So measuring and communicating value in higher education. Sakina, I want to get your insight into this, right? And I'm sure that our audience has the value. The term value, the idea of value in higher education is evolving fast. And I personally think that that's exactly kind of inquiry that higher education institutions need to make right now. If you think about it, though we as leaders in education, and you as leaders in education, feel that you're delivering value, like let's bring in the stats here just a little bit. 87% of higher education institutions believe that they prepare students for work, yet 44% of students and 39% of employees agree to that. So this is from PwC, a global education survey. So they did. That leads up to the question, right? As we move into a rapid technological advancements and shifting student needs, how is De Montfort University redefining what value means in higher education, right? If you can just provide some insight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. And it's very interesting, the stats about PwC and work as well, because you're absolutely right that one of the metrics that universities use, they are judged primarily on, graduate employment rates and salary outcomes, also academic rankings, which are linked to research. And these, this is relevant. Yeah, it is. It remains relevant. And also, but I think what we are trying to do is we're thinking, not ahead of the curve, but I think in order to be truly progressive, and as you said, we're living in this very, very dynamic world. I think there has to be other ways in which we value and embrace this broader definitions of success. And I think what we have to, as a university as well, what we have to do is place a greater emphasis on things like fostering creativity, critical thinking, adaptability, resilience, emotional intelligence among graduates. Because, as you said, the statistics speak for themselves. We have experience of that. We have experience of students that have done incredibly well in their degree subject. They've got a first. They've been to the top Ivy League universities, Oxford, etc. But put them in the working environment, and they're not. They're not as successful because they haven't adapted all of these soft skills. And I know soft skills has now become the the buzzword, but there is, and we talk about it a lot. But I don't know whether universities and schools, etc., we've kind of executed on that promise that we will develop this, we will develop this, we will develop this. So I think, I think as universities, we're recognizing this more. I think universities are recognizing interdisciplinary learning as well, that it's not just one defined discipline that you should be studying for 4 years. You should. So if you're studying business, you should also be studying technology or arts or maths or computing, etc. All of these kind of things to make you this well-rounded individual. So I think the importance of interdisciplinary learning is very important. I think in entrepreneurship as well now, is incredibly important, because I think over the COVID over the COVID time, a lot of people were working on their laptops. They were running their businesses from their laptops. They said they were setting up new businesses as well. I think innovation is very important as well. So all of these things should be a way of measuring success. But also, I think success is not just about employment, but I think it's got to be, or, just about job placement as well. I think it's also about, fulfilling careers. It's about personal fulfillment. But for us as well, something that I talk to our students is about making an impact, whether that's an impact in your own life, in the life of your family, your community, and the country, and and taking on the global challenges that we are facing now. So I think that has to be now the new measure of success now, because there's so many things that are happening, and I think we have to prepare these young people for this incredibly dynamic, evolving, very, very complicated, complex world as well. And now with AI and technology, they've got to be ahead of the curve as well. So I think there has to be a shift now. Well,
I think you were spot on that one, right? And I think even students or their families are no longer just asking, hey, what degree will I get if I join, let's say, the Montfort University? They're asking about what future will this degree unlock? Right? And it's about the narrative that higher education institutions now need to tell through data, through storytelling, and with a lot more transparency on what value they're kind of getting offered, right? And in that line, how is this shaping the way you communicate your value to prospective students, right? And that value kind of being said like, hey, you are not just getting a degree here. It's more than that. That, is there something that you do that our users can probably get some insight on?
Yeah, absolutely, Nandan. I think, Nandan, in the kind of environments that we're working in, in Kazakhstan and Cambodia as well. It's the university is a fee. Our students are fee-paying students, and actually their parents are the ones that are the main, funders of their education, and they want to see a return on investment first and foremost. So again, the whole, will I get a job is the first thing that not the student asks, the parents ask as well. But this is that they're everything that they're anticipating. This is what they're investing in. So now that still is the number one. But I think as you mentioned as well, what I'm seeing, particularly in Kazakhstan and Cambodia as well, is that students do want to, yes, they want the opportunity to travel overseas, they want the opportunity to work overseas, but what they want to do is take the knowledge from an international education, take the experiences from going and visiting and studying in other countries, and bringing it back and making a positive change. So when we're talking to our students, we talk about the fact that, yes, we will do everything we can to ensure that you get a good job or that you're ready. It's more about being ready for the world of work. So it's about being ready for the world of work, and that you have all the opportunities, not only in country, but also on a global scale. You're competing you're not only competing with fellow Cambodians or fellow Kazakhs, you're competing on a global scale now, and you should be able to go for jobs all over the world. So I think for us as well, when we talk about it, yes, we talk about, an international education, that it is a passport to lots of different opportunities. We talk about, preparing young people for the world of work. But we also talk about the fact that this is the development of the whole person as well, because we want young people to be work ready. We want them to be skilled. We want them to have that experience and that outlook. And also what we want to do is that we want to develop and mentor them and coach them to have those skills that employers are looking for. So then what we're doing is that, and we're talking to employers both in Kazakhstan and in Cambodia, because this is new territory, this is a new terrain for them. We're still kind of understanding the landscape, both in terms of the education landscape and the employability landscape. So we're asking employers, what is it that you want? What is going to be useful for you if, in terms of skill set of these students, and using that information, what we want to do is embody that and create that, develop that into our curriculum, because, the curriculum, regardless, it's still very, not antiquated, but universities, I'm not talking about DMU Leicester, but all universities, the approach is still a very antiquated approach, lectures, delivery of information, okay, yes, students do some reading, but I think we have to change that. We need to be much more radical as well. And what we're working on now, and DMU are very good at this as well, is working on real life projects as well. So working with companies and saying, okay, give us a project that our students can work on for you. So this is a real life project that they get real life experience and skills, etc. It's great for their CV as well, but it's actually reminiscent of what is happening in the real world as well. We talk about all of these things with our students as well, that what they're going to get is, yes, they're going to get a degree at the end of the day, but as part of that process, you're going to be learning so many other practical, real life examples that you can then actually, transfer when you go into the world of work as well. Right. So, it takes a little bit of time. It does take a little bit of time, but we're very, very much committed to achieving this. And when we talk to parents about this, and we talk to students about this, they understand, it clicks. They understand that this is the objective, that we're preparing them to be these young people who can excel in the workplace. Because, and then I don't know if you've heard as well now, I read somewhere, I don't know if it was New York Post or it was, I can't remember where the source was, but there was something saying that was a statistic about 65% of Gen Zs are being sacked in the first 6 months of their employment. Yeah, because they're just, a very different concept, or they're working in a different way as well. So I think something there that we have to do to connect that, because perhaps we're not preparing them, or we haven't prepared them for the world of work, or they have a different expectation as well. So now what you have is a very much a kind of grasshopper culture as well, where kids are hopping from one job to another after every 6 months. And this is, also frustrating for employers as well. So and I think, for us, I think if our students find meaning in what they're learning and seeing that it can make changes, either to their community, to their health, whether it's social equity, etc., they can see real life, positive social change, such as sustainability as well, then I think, it will make sense to them. And I think you'll get that real commitment and sense of, right, there's a purpose behind all of this.
Yeah. I think that's great insight, right? And that insight can only happen, with the experience that you had, Sakina. You had worked with multiple, in different continents and different geos. When we talk about Gen Z, and you mentioned a few examples of that, is the learner different across different regions, or is it fairly the same? When you kind of trying to articulate the value in education and what you bring in, is it fairly similar across all geos when you were working in different regions, or is it the same?
Yeah, I would say it's the same. I mean, in terms of the learners as well. I mean, I can give you an example as well, because maybe 10 years back, or 15 years back, you as a learner, you could sit through a lecture. You could be, a lecture could be delivered for an hour, and you'd sit through it. Maybe you'd take your notes, or maybe you'd fall asleep, or maybe you'd be thinking about what you're going to be eating this evening. But you could do that. You could do that for an hour. But I think now, the whole idea of holding lectures, is very, very antiquated. And when we talk to our team as well, we say, look, speaking out a student for an hour and giving them information which they can very easily access through ChatGPT or anything isn't an education. That shouldn't be our role. Our role shouldn't be just delivering information that they have access to anyway. And so I think, what we don't want, and what we're trying to encourage, is not this kind of traditional lecture hall approach as well. And, and we often, when we're talking to our staff as well, we mention that, our role is to serve as mentors or coaches, and what we are moving away from is, it's kind of like you're working by yourself, to kind of guided group sessions, where you're fostering kind of discussion, practical application, rather than just, imparting theory. And I think what this then does is that it inspires creativity, it inspires our students to ask questions. They're presented with a problem, and and we step in when we need to as well. But I think it's much more collegiate, and as well, and also it's that connection between people as well, to work on a problem together. So I think what we're looking at is, we're trying to redefine learning and moving beyond the traditional pen and paper exams and lecture halls to this much more kind of innovative approach, which is more kind of project based. It's hands-on experience, and which encourages our students to explore and be creative as well. And I also think that the students then are kind of empowered as well. They're taking charge of their education. They're working on real life challenges, and also, this is the other thing that we want to encourage, is that we want them to work across disciplines as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just the kids or our design students working with our design students. There should be a kind of mixture of them being able to work on projects together. So if they're working on a project, and in that project you would have a business kid, a tech kid, and a design kid, because in reality, when you're in when you're in a business, that's how you would work as a group as well. So that's what we're looking for, and by working with people and students across different disciplines, it enhances your understanding, and it prepares you for this kind of ever-evolving education and landscape as well.
But that leads to my next question, right? It's about how is this value being measured as well? Sakina, I kind of wanted to ask this question because there was very amazing insight that I kind of gathered in a recent conference we had. We were in South by Southwest in Austin, and there was a lot of talk about the value of education as well. And some of the things were very kind of interesting. I just made a few notes up here, and I wanted to get your insight there as well. Like, one thing is I want to know how the Montfort University kind of measure the success, and that's one of the things that we want to discuss. And some of the points that people are talking, and this is for our audience as well, is these are like new concepts which I was kind of want to learn more. Yeah. So some of the things that they were talking about, and I wanted to kind of share with our audience was how do we measure the value to our students? There are a few. I'll just talk about a few of these values, and one is called learner trajectory tracking. It's called LTT. It's about not just where the students land as graduates, but their growth trajectory over 3 to 5 years. Right. As an example, 42% of alumni moved to strategic leadership role in 3 years of graduation. Right. So that's something that people are talking about, how they can measure it. Skills velocity index, that's another one. Tracks how quickly students acquire and apply emerging skills, like AI, for example, AI literacy and intercultural fluency. I think that you are a great example for that. In fact, intercultural fluency, how you can adapt quickly into those when you have to travel to another country, or and how do kind of people quickly adapt into it. That's another one. Purpose and impact alignment as well. I think you kind of spoke about it. It's impact assessment to understand how graduates align their work with their personal values and social impact. And you mentioned about Gen Z, about moving from one job to another, and because there's no value kind of attached into what they're doing, it's not about the money, but also the things other than that as well. Like is this graduate making a difference? It's not just an income. So that's what institutions are asking as well. Lifelong learning engagement, that's another metric or that people are talking about. It's about let's say one of three of my alumni return for a continuing education, or a graduate. If they're doing a certification program, they come back to a master's program. And finally, civic and community contribution as well. In terms of how many of our graduates are becoming community leaders, board members or public service roles, right? So these are some of the other kind of value measurements, I guess, people in higher education are talking about. And this is something that I just want to share with our audience, but I would love to get your insight as well. So, how the Montfort University are using to measure student success and social impact.
Yeah, of course. I mean, absolutely. I think Nandan, now for us, both in Cambodia, because we've started, but interestingly, this year is our first set of graduates from the Montfort University, Kazakhstan, and I think now we will have our cycle of alumni. But I think as you mentioned, the metrics. As an organization, we have to push this, that, okay, yes, we will be looking, first, did they get a job? Did, etc. How soon did they get the job? The salary isn't necessarily a measure of success, I would say. But I think, I think what we have to ask are more personal questions. Like you said, are you fulfilled? Does this match your values? Is this your are you able to work on, projects that make a difference to the community and have an impact? And I think what we have to have is a collective shift, that this then becomes the norm across all universities to measure, student success as well. I mean, I think there's talk about it, but it isn't, it hasn't been firmly established that this is what we have to do as well. But I think, from our perspective as well, I think it's not something that we should just measure at the end of, a student's kind of education cycle at university, but I think it's something that we should measure measure continuously. So,
Exactly.
so from year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and what we do is that we have, you have your careers consultation, but what we also have is almost like it's almost like a consultant, a personal advisor, or personal development consultant, and they have this conversation with the students on a yearly basis as well. What are your aspirations for the future? What are you learning? How are you being able to, make an impact, or what skills have you acquired? So again, it's the emphasis more on the kind of soft skills development and their personal development. So it's the development of the whole person, not just, okay, what grades did you get? How are you going to move from a B to an A? It's more about you as a person. What is it that you want to learn? What do you want to develop? What are your strengths? What are your qualities?
I think you said it right there, right? The future proofing of a student, right? Of a student's career. And that I think it's very important, is because the dynamics in where the AI is kind of coming in. How do you future proof a student's career as well? That's please continue. I just wanted to interrupt there.
No, of course. And I think I think the whole AI agenda and tech as well. And there's got to be something. It's got to be as natural as breathing, or to our students. And you have some students that are very tech savvy, and there are other students that are not. So I think, regardless of what you're doing, whether you're doing business, or, you're doing the arts, or you're doing sociology, or you're doing history, we have to reshape the kind of future of learning by integrating like cutting edge technology platforms, having a personalized a digital curricula, being AI driven, adapting to learning tools that are going to kind of enhance students' engagement and mastery, because teaching has to be transformed, and I think our approaches have got to be transformed. So it's much more innovative. It's like virtual or augmented reality, and gamification. That is so big with our students, because as soon as we you can have a theory, but as soon as you put it in the shape of a game, and you present it as a game, or you present it as a simulation, completely different to this generation. So they're taking part, they're getting involved, they're competing. That's why I think projects and competitions should be a measure of a student's ability, not exams. Exams just so competitions, projects, games, that's life as well. And I think what we need to do is we need to empower our lecturers, our educators, to kind of develop a deeper, or facilitate them in developing this deeper experiential learning. And I think, Nandan, that's the way it's got to go. It's got to be real life learning, bringing people into the classroom, taking our students out. I mean, this term alone, our students have visited so many different industries, etc. So they can see that, okay, I drink coffee every day, but where does this coffee come from? So you take it back to the plantation where the coffee is grown, and then you look at other things like, okay, employees' rights, the labor market, are they, all of this kind of things, are they being paid what they should be paid? So that brings in all of that element. Then you talk about agriculture and, and sustainability and, all of this, and the chemicals, are we using this, or is there a kinder way, etc. So there's so many other elements, and that's all your interdisciplinary, to the point where it's actually in a cup and you're drinking it. So you've got the marketing, you've got the sales, you've got the commercialization, you've got all of the politics, the logistics, the supply chain, etc. All of these things, so they see they've got like a 360-degree view of, right, this is how this works as well. So I think for us now, experiential learning is very, very important, but also what we're trying to do is strategically partner, with industry leaders, tech innovators, and we've got to develop this kind of collaborative ecosystem as well, where we're bridging this kind of academia, we're bridging academic learning with real world demands, and what we need to do is almost almost like co-create something that's relevant and responsive to the needs of the wider community or the country or the business world, etc. And that's how we're going to have young people, and we're going to create young people who can be change makers, and they're going to be future ready as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then you touched upon a bit, right? And the other thing is, do students actually play a role in how your university measure and deliver value as well? So do you have like advisory boards or boards?
Yeah, we do, Nandan. Sorry, Nandan. Yeah, we do. So we do have an advisory. We have our the student voice is very big. So we do encourage student voice as well. But student voice, we ask for their input. They're involved in the industry conversation. So when the CEO comes and we talk to them about partnerships, we have our students talk to them and talk about the fact that this partnership will help us because it will give us internships, or it'll give us real life experience as well. So they're getting used to that kind of interaction already with at a business level. But I still think they're still very young at the moment. But they have some actually they have some great ideas. They do have some great ideas, and I think we need to just kind of develop a stronger connection between the students, the employers, and the educators as well. So I think that is, we've got the relationship between the educators and the employment sector, but I think I think our students could have a much stronger voice in terms of also kind of shaping the curricula as well. I mean, they do talk about it. They do talk about the fact that we want to have more information about business data analytics or investing or cryptocurrency or entrepreneurship. So, but I think how we need to do is just connect the dots with the bigger picture as well. So but they're very, they're very smart and engaged. This is something that we are looking to, kind of finesse even more.
And I think you kind of touched upon a bit on, you have students who co-design curriculum in a way. This is some examples of some of our other customers and their feedback on it as well, and might be useful for the community here. Is, for example, rather than saying, hey, this is a leadership course, you kind of say, this is a leadership acceleration course. What that means is, the description would be, this course will help you accelerate your, from a normal manager to a senior executive in at least 3 to 4 years, right, after you join an employment. Things like, when people see that, just a rebranding of how this course is kind of helps them to kind of set an expectation. Hey, if I do this course, I'm going to accelerate my career, at a 20% more chances of getting accelerated if I don't do this degree, right? These courses, but it also sets a mindset within students as well, where they are thinking, okay, I want to accelerate in my career, and these are the courses that I need to do. Kind of creates a roadmap in their mind to kind of achieve that as well. Just some, I thought I'll just share that with you as well, where these are the inputs that students actually kind of giving in terms of co-designing curriculum as well.
That's great. And I think now as well, there are a lot of industry-related certifications and courses. So, we're talking about short courses or accelerator courses as well. And I think our students value that as well, that this is a program that is run by, Google, or this is a program from IBM, and just having that industry badge, or certification as part of their LinkedIn profile or their CV also is very impactful. I think it encourages our students a lot more because they're identifying again that this is connected to work. This has been endorsed by this great company, the company that I want to work for, and also those courses also are very relevant because they're industry-led as well. They're not academics, it's industry. This is what industry is looking for. So I think, I think it would be one, if we could, I think there are lots of industry certifications, but I think if we continue to do that on a larger scale or a media version of that, that would be great as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Sakina, for that. I want to come to the next segment here, and this is very personal for me. And I put this question myself, being a little bit, selfish about it. But the role of edtech in shaping the future. That's the segment here. And could you share like the technology tools that the Montfort University uses in managing the operations? If you can guide us through the entire learner journey from admissions up until alumni engagement, and provide some insight for our user and for our listeners here, and how does the Montfort University use it, and if possible, if you have the understanding at the like the
Mm-hmm.
the UK level up until the
Mm-hmm.
regional levels, which are smaller, but the UK is big. Collectively it's 26,000 students, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you have some insight, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, tech is my Achilles heel. Not because it's not because I don't love it. I do.
Yeah.
It's just I wish I had the level of
Oh,
knowledge
yeah.
that other people have as well. But from just to give you an idea about De Montfort as well, they have one of the best cybersecurity departments. It's world renowned. As well, so they are excellent in terms of their computer science and their cybersecurity and their tech provision. Sorry, their programs are wonderful as well. But I think also with lots of the programs that now as well, there are simulations that we're using in business as part of the learning process. In terms of finance subjects as well, we're using the trading platforms as well. So there's lots of kind of,
Right, right, right.
is being used to support and enhance
Support
the
the
curriculum
learning.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that side of things as well. And I think
Yeah.
every subject has a specific area of tech that's
Right, 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 right.
the
Yeah.
curriculum. Just in terms of the technology as well, I can speak for Cambodia as well. We use Classe365 from the beginning in terms of the admissions part as well, and the initial inquiries to the admissions and the recruitment, right through to the enrollment, right through to the timetabling, and and everything else in terms of student record as well. So I think what we like, Nandan, and again, this is me with my very basic knowledge of technology as well, is just the fact that it's a seamless transition from the start to the end as well. So we've only been operating for the first year, but first year, but it's great from from a marketing recruitment side to the part where they're actually enrolled as well, and then how we're going to just follow their journey throughout the course of their program as well. So it's very nice and easy. I think Nandan, with the one in DMU as well, the Leicester, because they have a much bigger organisation. I can't really speak for what they're using at the
Sure,
moment,
sure.
but what we have here is fantastic, and what we had in Kazakhstan was fantastic as well. So I'm not sure if I've answered your question there.
No,
So,
no, you did. You did. Thank you so much. I think it's important for our users to kind of know what are the technology things that the suite of products you do. But that's fantastic. But my other thing is because we do have customers globally, right? So we operate in 130 countries. A lot of them are countries with challenging infrastructure and connectivity as well. Is that been an issue or a challenge, like digital infrastructure and connectivity in regions where you have been operating, like Kazakhstan, Cambodia, and is that kind of is that kind of impact any of the learning outcomes?
no, I think we've been very fortunate as well. We've been very fortunate in Kazakhstan and in Cambodia that we haven't had the same issues with connectivity or, and other kind of infrastructure problems as well. Yes, occasionally, yes, the electricity will go or, and that's quite normal, and that's
Yeah.
very, very random as well. But no, it hasn't affected our operations in any way, shape, or form as well. So the connectivity hasn't been an issue at all for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's good. That's good to hear. I think it's lesser and lesser an impact, but we do have countries where it is operational. But we are kind of going into an era where it is ubiquitous, in a way that connectivity is. But no, thank you so much for that. Look, that brings, I mean, we are over 15 minutes over, but it was, but I would love to have more discussions, but I'm kind of conscious of time. But this actually brings to an end of this episode of measuring communication or communicating value of higher education. To our audience, today's conversation makes one thing clear, I think. The value of education institution is no longer just about job placement rates, right? It's about the ability to future-proof careers, and I mentioned that before as well. Equip our learners with agility, purpose, and lifelong capabilities, right? And that's how education institutions can introspect and communicate this value back into students, to families, and broader communities, including employers like ourselves who are always looking for good graduates to hire as well. A sincere thank to Sakina for powerful insight, to just helping us to reimagine how institutions can stay relevant in this evolving landscape. Sakina, thank you so much. To all our educators and institutional leaders who have turned in, and who will probably watch in our post podcast videos. The challenge ahead isn't just about delivering value, and it's about being smarter, more human, especially with the AI age, more forward-thinking values. That brings a lot out of universities, and let's make it visible, measurable, and more importantly, meaningful, right, for our students. Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, let's keep shaping education that's ready for what's next. And thank you so much, Sakina, again, for joining with us. I think it was amazing conversation, both conversation we had before the podcast and after even this one as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nandan. Really appreciate it, and thank you. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Sakina. Thank you, everyone. Until next time.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.